joining us now is Kachi Ofia with stories trending around the world. Hello, Kachi. Good to see you presenting what's trending from the Abuja
Dr.
studio.
Batsi. How are you?
Yes, how is Abuja?
Absolutely.
Or are you in London?
Abuja is amazing. Hello, Adesua. Hello, Rifai. How are you doing this morning?
Hi,
Kachi.
How are you?
Kachi's all the way from Abuja.
I'm fantastic. I am catching the flow from Abuja. Let's begin with the president of Malawi, Chakwera Lazarus, coming under intense criticism for taking his family members, including his wife, his daughter, and his son-in-law to a virtual conference on Global Education Summit in the UK. Keyword virtual. Now, in an interview with the BBC, Chakwera failed to give substantive reasons as to why members of his family were part of his envoy, while his foreign minister was left in Malawi. Let's take a look.
That on this delegation to London, which is actually a virtual conference, which you'll hear, as I understand it, paid for by the British government, you have 10 people. You wanted 61 to come, reportedly. It was reduced to 10, and of those 10, you've included in the 10 your wife, your daughter, and your son-in-law.
Everyone has a responsibility, like you just mentioned. It is not that I have included them. They are part, because I brought my wife, and I did not invite myself, by the way, to this conference. I have done conferences in Malawi virtually, and over 10 of them. This was an appeal to me to be present here personally in order that we might deal with certain things.
As the president of the country, your foreign minister is back at home, and in the delegation, you've brought your family.
No, I didn't. No. Don't even use that. I brought Malawians that are doing something along with me on this trip, and they're just as valuable.
Okay, so of the 10 people in the delegation, there's 3 of them, apart from you, are members of your family. And that's acceptable, is it? And I say this for somebody who a year ago accused the government, got into power on promising to clear the rubble of...
I can tell you, each one of those have specific functions. And the specific functions are such that for me to be able to attend a meeting like this, I need their services.
Well, this comes as nepotism, for a lot of people has plagued the presidency in Malawi. But, the question now is this just a Malawian issue, or is it an African issue, or even a global issue? For instance, the former president of Malawi, Peter Mutharika, he appointed his niece at that time, her name was Dua, to serve as the first secretary at Malawi's embassy in South Africa. So this criticism just stems from the fact that, you see, Lazarus Chakwera, he really couldn't answer the questions that were directed at him. And again, the conversation and nepotism, putting in, your relatives and your family, has been a huge conversation, especially for a lot of influencers within Malawi on social media.
Well, the President Chakwera could not provide any justification and any defense for it, because that's the fact. He is known back in Malawi as being a leader who appoints members of his immediate and extended families, his son-in-laws, his daughter, his wife. They all play a role. But for me, from that interview, the only correction perhaps come back for the president was making justification for his travel. You recall that the last time we spoke on this matter, a spokesperson of the president had said it was because of the lack of internet or unreliable internet in Malawi that necessitated the president traveling to the UK. But during that interview, he did say it was a plea for him to be there in person. So I don't know who to believe, the president or his spokesperson. And I was shocked to hear that the initial delegation was actually 61 and cut down to 10.
Well, isn't this the familiar African story? Nepotism. A year ago, President Chakwera said he was going to clear the rubble, but he's proven to even be worse than his predecessor in office. And what makes his own case funny is that this is a man who describes himself, or well, maybe he is, a theologian. For about 5 years or so, he was the president of a church. and projects himself as a man who knows exactly what he's doing. Now, he's not alone. That's why I said, isn't it a familiar African story? If you go to Equatorial Guinea, in Equatorial Guinea, the leadership there at the level of the presidency is also a family affair. The president has his son in charge of the oil and gas sector. He has another son elsewhere. In the case of Chakwera here, his daughter, is in the embassy in Brussels as second secretary. And when the interviewer referred to the fact that he came with his daughter, he said, oh, it's not even this one, which means that this is another daughter. His son-in-law is the director of communications. And of course, he will insist on his right to be accompanied by Madam Chakwera, his wife. And of course, many African leaders do this. And that's why in the West, sometimes, they look at us and say, what kind of leaders do these people have in Africa? But it's most unfortunate that this is the case. Yeah. And it's also most unfortunate that Chakwera has not been able to provide the kind of quality leadership, that he promised the people of Malawi.
People deserve.
I mean, Kachi, it's the sad African tale, like Dr. Batia said, and I keep asking who bewitched Africa as a continent, because I don't know what this is. If you check everywhere in the continent, that's always the case. Look at a country like Togo, for instance. It's always been 2-3 families. Olympio family, Eyedema. Nasingbe Eyedema died, Furo Eyedema took over, his son. What happened again? Apart from that, look at countries like Congo. After Laurent Kabila was killed, Joseph Kabila took over. Until Felix Tshisekedi tried to break the jinx now, and it took him a lot because he had to wipe out predominantly the National Assembly that was loyal to Laurent Kabila. Coming back to Lazarus, Professor Lazarus Chakwera, because he's a professor of theology, and a lot of people thought he was going to change his country. You can see taking over 10 people for something that could have been attended online. Now you ask, what is the problem? This was the same man that sacked a government official for $778, last year for COVID-19 funds. And you'll have thought, oh, it was a man of accountability. We're all fooled by that. And the funny thing is, they are quick to point fingers at others, but are they any better? He was the one pointing finger at Peter Mutharika, the president that was equally the younger brother to the former president Bingowa Mutharika. And look at what he's doing. So the question I keep asking is, who will save Malawi? Who will save Africa? Why is that this nepotism, this I know you, I know me is always the order of the day? This morning we're talking about Nigerian Olympic team. Appalling. More officials going there just because they know people in power, and we can't produce one single gold or any medal whatsoever in the Olympics. So it shows the problem with Africa. There's a problem with us, and we need to fix it.
Who will save Africa? I think it's the Africans themselves that should take the concrete steps to save Africa and their individual countries. And the only way that they can do that is when they have the opportunity to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You vote out bad leaders. You make sure you use your vote wisely. But here, what do we play in Africa? From Malawi to wherever in sub-Saharan Africa is a politics of stomach infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Once you sell your vote, then you get the kind of leaders that you have put in charge. But if we can empower the African electorate, there will be a significant difference. I understand we need to take a short break, Kachi. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so...
Yes, we do. When we get back to the morning show, we will have some more to chat on.
Okay.
Here on Arise News just before the break, who were speaking on nepotism within Africa and how we need to begin to make our votes count to choose the kind of leaders that we truly deserve. Well, still on the Global Education Summit, former Nigerian Senator Dino Melaye took to his Instagram handle to blast President Buhari for attending the Global Education Summit in London. Now, according to the former senator, President Buhari is not qualified to attend the summit because of his low level of education. We have that video.
It is very, very funny that President Muhammadu Buhari has gone to London to attend the Global Education Summit. It is funny, and it is putting Nigeria in a very bad shape, because I'm wondering what will President Muhammadu Buhari be discussing in a Global Education Summit. This is President Muhammadu Buhari that that is a school that has a certificate, secondary school certificate, a school cert failure. And unfortunately, that certificate is even missing. We have not seen it. There's no copy of it. And you are going to a global education summit where you have professors emeritus, where you have intellectually mobile characters, where you have people with very high global intellectual IQ. And Buhari is going to sit down and discuss what in a global education summit?
Well, the thing is, Dr. Abati Rufai Adesua, there are varying opinions on this. On one hand, you look at Dino Melaye, a politician, once a member of the House of Reps, also served as a senator, and he has about 4 degrees, inclusive of geography and law. I remember, at some point within the year, he was, trying to complete that project, and then he has a number of masters as well. And then you look at Section 131 of the Constitution that qualifies a person for election for the office of president, amongst other things, if they have been educated up to at least the school certificate level or its equivalent. However, in a country like the US, there is no specific educational requirement to lead. Indeed, 9 presidents have never seen or have never attended college. So the question is the issue, of this situation, the quality of the leadership, or the status of the educational qualification? Is that, what exactly is the bone of contention when it comes to leadership here?
Well, I mean, this is not about whether President Buhari has a school certificate or not. I thought that matter was settled a long time ago. But as you said, Senator Dino Melaye is, a politician, and he has seen this opportunity to conveniently, in the comfort of his own space, insult the president. And I'm sure that, the persons who have the appropriate assignment, don't be surprised if they reply to him in equal or even larger measure. But the point to note is that, look, the president went to the UK to attend a global education summit where leaders of the world, hosted by the president of Kenya and the prime minister of Great Britain, decided to make a commitment over the next 5 years to strengthening education, investing more in education, focusing specifically, particularly on girl child education. I don't think that to attend, for any leader of a country to attend a global education summit, the requirement will be for you to present maybe a PhD certificate or even a school certificate or any kind of certificate. This is not what that is all about. It's about the meeting of leaders and sharing of ideas. And if the outcome that we have seen from this meeting is anything to go by in terms of what President Buhari has said, he says his government will be show more commitment to the funding of education, and that the percentage that is devoted to education in the Nigerian budget will be increased by about 50%. At the moment in the 2021 budget is 5.6. So internationally he has made that commitment. Yeah. And I said earlier on that that's something we can hold him down to. So he is in the UK attending that summit, not to go and take an exam. It's to go and represent Nigeria. And that's the man that Nigerians voted for in 2015 and also again in 2019. But of course, Senator Dino Melaye is free, to express his own views in this matter. But I think that, the two issues are not related at all. It's not going there to sit for an exam.
I mean, so for me, politicians will play politics with whatever they want to play politics with. I mean, if you are taking a video of Senator Dino Melaye in 2015, I'm sure he will be praising President Buhari to the high heavens and say he's the best thing that ever happened. And I'm sure his object of ridicule then will be President Jonathan. I'm sure he will have said all the very nefarious words against President Jonathan. Because you see, politicians will only go where their bread is buttered. Obviously, their relationship has turned sour now. He can say all of this about the president. For me, it's not about education. It's about what you can do to change your country. I keep referring to Inácio Lula da Silva. Never had a secondary school education, but he brought 20 million people out of Brazil with his Bolsa Familia scheme. So it's about what you can do. And for me, I don't care about the policy. I care about the issue. What are the issues? These are the issues. Over 10 million pupils in this country are out of school. It's a ticking time bomb. It doesn't happen everywhere. If you go around the world, 1 out of 5 out-of-school children are from Nigeria. That's a problem. How can we fix it? We need to keep pushing to get people back to school and stop this insecurity. Secondly, a child born in Nigeria has a 5% chance to go to university. In some other parts of the world, a child born in those countries have as close as an 80% chance to attend university. That's a big problem. Although some people will argue and say, is it about university education or apprenticeship system? Even if it's apprenticeship system they can go to after their secondary school, at least they should have access to be able to get that education. And we have done it in a while. Another problem is the primary school completion rates. Formerly, it used to be over 60%, but now it's dropped to less than 50%. So that tells you that 5 out of 10 people that start primary school do not complete primary school. Primary school enrollment rate has also dropped. There was a time in this country during the Western region when free education started that the primary school enrollment rate ticked at about 1.5 million people. We are not having those numbers again. We are not building a lot of schools. People are not going to school any longer. And when people don't go to school, there's a lot of problems because it feeds back to societal problems, crimes and the likes and other problems. So for me, those are the conversations. We need to change our pedagogy, how we teach children, how we teach students now, the way and manner we deliver education. Have we gone ICT compliant? We all have universities in this country that find it difficult to hold virtual learning. ASU is on strike every time. Those are the problems we have with education. And those are the things I believe we should be speaking through to power on how we can fix them. Not about this politicking of who's got university degree or has not got university degree. Because you see, when we focus more, or when we major in the minor things, we forget the major things. And what are the major things? Our educational sector needs a big rejig, needs a new thinking. It's not about who's got education or not. It's about how we can fix the education system, most importantly in this country.
President Chakwera of Malawi that you showed earlier, he has a PhD, he has double masters. Common ordinary questions by a TV anchor, he will not respond. That's a PhD holder for you.
Kachi, I mean, if Dino Melaye was so bothered about qualification of the Nigerian president, he had the opportunity to lead the conversation and lead a motion and to change the constitution and that requirement. He didn't do so. And so this is all politics and very unnecessary. If it's any consolation to the likes of Senator Dino Melaye, well, the president also traveled with some of the finest in his cabinet. The Minister of State for Education is on this trip. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Oyema, is also on this trip. And I think Rufai and Dr. Bate have rightly said it. This is just inconsequential in the scheme of things. We're talking about very important things here. Funding the education. When countries are seeing a shortfall in funding their education, global leaders are coming together to see how they can increase that. And the problem is with low and middle income countries, where priorities are not set straight. We do know they are dealing with several issues such as foreign debts that they need to take care of. They're dealing with hard-hit COVID-19 economic hardships. So how do we ensure that in all of this, education is not taking that beating and we can come out from it? That's the conversation we should be having, not qualifications of the president. If Dino Melaye was interested in qualification of the Nigerian president, he should have done that when he was a member of the National Assembly.
And it's important that Nigeria, is represented at this global education summit. Now, being there, is important for our purpose. And as I said earlier, what the president said about increased funding for education in Nigeria, which is a major issue, I think that's a good outcome in terms of whatever takeaways anybody may be looking at. That's more important than whether they will be asking for degrees before you will be admitted into a global education summit.
Qualification.
Anyway, thank you very much, Kachi.
Absolutely.
You've been able to catch it very well from a distance.
Sit and watch this morning.
Okay, we'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much indeed.